Bookworm. My name is Silke, and today I'm here to share my almost spoiler-free review, no, spoiler-free review of Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself, the first book in the First Law Trilogy. This is my first venture into grimdark. I think I have heard that some people count the Nevernight series from J. Christoph also as grimdark. I never really experienced it as that, but I only read the first book. So I'm officially counting this one as my first intervention in grimdark. I have been a fantasy reader for quite some time, but I've never read grimdark. And actually, I don't know really why, because when I hear other people talking about grimdark, I hear them talking about morally grey characters, explicit violence, explicit sex scenes, explicit sexual assault scenes, um, explicit darkness all around, lost hope, no shining heroes. And I'm making it sound very dreadful now, but I need to. I also sounds like I'm a bit of a weirdo if I like all those violence and things. But what I need to explain is I'm not one who really loves the hero kind of kind of story that's been told. I'm not a girl who likes the story about the chosen one who's going to save the world and who will make everything right. I'm always, even when I was younger and reading YA, the girl who liked villain stories or stories about morally grey characters, characters you don't are not just good. I like realistic stories, and so I thought I was going to venture into grimdark to see if it would be something I would enjoy. And I heard, actually, I picked up Joe Abercrombie especially because Mike from Mike's book reviews is always talking about this book and about how good it is. And I even sent him a message on Instagram asking if this why it is said to be so good. And after his message back, I just threw it in my Amazon cart and started reading it the day it arrived. And I actually am very pleasantly surprised by this book. Although, and I think this might be because it's the first book, I was I had embraced myself. I had really braced myself for some serious darkness, some twisted things, some very, very dark content. And actually, I was quite alright with this book. It's because it's the first book in the series, but or maybe it was just because I was braced for some serious dark topics that I actually thought this was kind of alright, not too dark. Not sure how to explain this because, of course, there is torture, there is war, there is some bleakness to the story. These characters haven't got a lot of hope. They People die, people get hurt, people are unhappy, of course. But it's not like I was super depressed when I closed this book, or that there were times that I read stuff that I thought, okay, I can't handle this. It's it was actually quite alright. It was realistically dark, realistically grim. It wasn't over the top dark. Maybe I was prepared for a book that was gonna throw dark and twisted things at me and make it unrealistic. I paused there because I was actually thinking about a contemporary novel that I read, Sick Fuck, and that's about serial killer couple that really, really dark stuff, having sex on a crime scene with dead bodies next to you. It's not that kind of dark. It was, well, yeah, it was realistic, but nothing I couldn't handle or nothing I thought. I actually just thought it was very realistic. There's a lot of corruption. There's a you. I'm not getting out of my words. There's this whole world is corrupt, and you're following morally great characters. And from the start of the story, it's clear that all these characters have their own reasons to be in this story, and they're not in this story or in this adventure to save the world or save each other or be the hero everybody's waiting for. These are very self-centered, morally gray characters. They are here for their own gain, for their personal win, for their personal reasons. But actually, I think that's quite realistic. I think in this book there are some winks to our actual society. Maybe I'm just a bit of a cynic, but I don't believe in the greater good, or the battle for the good when you have only everything to lose and nothing to gain. Sometimes in fantasy books, I'm like, so you're gonna sacrifice yourself and everything you've built and everyone you love to save a I'm not. I'm just not that kind of person. I am the person who wouldn't do that, and that makes me evil, maybe. Uh, but I just thought this was realistic. Everybody is in this for their own good. And that doesn't make them bad people, because you just see them making choices, and it's not that they're bad people, even sometimes they do stuff for other people, so it makes them very realistic, very real. People fighting their own demons, their own history, their own past, making choices to make their future better, but maybe even making it worse by making the wrong mistakes. So I actually really loved this, and what I absolutely loved is the very unique take it has on the characters, because in this book, and I'm talking about Glokta. Everybody knows Glokta. Everybody loves Glokta. He is this war hero. He was the Glokta was before the war in this book the dark shining, the blonde shining knight, a beautiful man who could have all the woman, the best, the best soldier, the hero. Actually, the hero was gonna save the planet, and then he gets captured in the war, and he gets tortured, and he becomes something completely different. He becomes misformed. He is tortured almost to death, but he survives. And he becomes a torturer himself. He goes to work for the Inquisition. He's actually what happens to the hero in normal fantasy after the book is done, I think. There's a point in this book that Glokta says himself, that if he would have died in the war, he would have died a hero and he probably would have got the statue. But he didn't die. He came back. He came back a crippled man, and everybody forgot about him. He wasn't a hero anymore. He was just a guy, and now he works for the Inquisition, and he hurts other people. But I fell instantly in love with Glokta, and I know he's a very popular character. But actually, I think that was a play they did with most of these characters. Also, there are a lot of characters. Logan Ninefingers, I had the same feeling. He had a band of fighters named men who proven their worth in a battle, and this is what happens after the battle, after you think everybody died, after you lost everything and have nothing to fight for. This is not the normal stuff where fantasy is about. In fantasy, it's a lot of, and we go to the battle and we're victorious, and this is what happens to the people who aren't victorious and what comes next. And I really, really love that unique take on the story. What I did think about this book, and that's the reason why I gave it 4 stars and not 5 stars, is that this is a setup book. That sounds more horrible than it is. It felt like there wasn't a lot of plot in this one. It was more of getting to know the characters, and I think Joe Abercrombie did a fantastic character study in this. You get to know all the characters, and you see the pieces put on the chessboard, but we're just not playing. We're doing a few easy moves, a few simple moves, but we're not in it. The stakes aren't high yet. We're not playing. It's just putting everything on the board, getting a feel of the land, of the world building, of the people, of the history, of the a layout, basically. And at the end of the book, you can feel, okay, now we're getting a move on. Now we're gonna go for the high stakes. Now we're really getting into the story. But this, and that's kind of weird to say. It's a 540 page book not a lot of plot. This is a very character-driven story, and what I liked about it, it was I was a little tentative because I knew this story had quite some POVs. It's not like gigantic POV like Wheel Time or something, but it has quite some characters. And I sat ready with my notebook and my pen to write down all the characters, and I just gave up after 3 chapters because I don't need it with Joe Abercrombie. He gives his characters a very distinctive voice. I never had to wonder, who am I reading again? Because every chapter, every character has a very distinctive voice. I knew immediately when I was with Glocta. I knew immediately when I was with Giselle. I knew immediately when I was with Logan or when I was. They are so distinctive, even if and the chapters are no, the chapters aren't marked. So it's not like I think it's with in some fantasy, you get the character you're reading above, but that's not the case here. But from the first sentence of the chapter, you immediately know, okay, I'm reading Glocta, or I'm reading Giselle, or I'm reading. It was fine, and I can't wait to dive further into this story to see the plot thicken and raise the stakes and see what's at stake and see if that grimdark gets grimmer, gets darker. Because I'm really, really looking forward to diving into this story further. So, have any of you read? I know it's a very popular series, but is it getting darker, people? Is it? Is it? Am I seeing it wrong now? I will do a review of the second book to acknowledge if I'm totally wrong on it. So this was absolutely 4-star. Enjoyed it enormously. So see you in the next video. Bye.